What if the habits that make you feel different are actually signs of a powerful mind? The world often rewards people who speak the loudest, but history shows that some of the greatest ideas were born during quiet, focused thinking. True brain power doesn't come from making noise. It comes from thinking deeply.
Being an introvert doesn't automatically make someone a genius, but many highly intelligent introverts share a small set of quiet mental habits that most people never notice. These habits shape how they solve problems, make decisions, and notice things that others often overlook. As we go through these 9 habits, don't ask yourself, am I introverted enough? Instead, ask yourself, how many of these 9 habits already feel natural to me? Let's begin with habit number 1. You often catch yourself talking out loud when you are completely alone in your room or standing in front of a mirror. Not because you're lonely, not because you've lost touch with reality. Your mind simply thinks faster than words. Ideas keep arriving one after another, creating a heavy rush of thoughts that all compete for your attention. Saying those thoughts out loud helps slow the traffic. What feels like random talking is often a way of putting scattered thoughts back into order. That's why many quiet, highly intelligent people don't need another person to solve every problem. Sometimes they become their own best conversation. The quiet conversation happening on the outside is often the sound of deep thinking happening on the inside. That quiet way of thinking doesn't disappear when other people are around. Most of the time, they say very little. They listen more than they speak, because small talk rarely holds their attention. To most people, they seem quiet, maybe even distant. But the moment someone brings up a subject they truly care about, whether it's history, technology, a game they've spent years understanding, or some rare topic most people have never heard of, their whole mind comes alive. They start connecting ideas, sharing details, and explaining things with surprising depth. People who barely noticed them a minute ago now can't stop listening. It was never a lack of confidence. Their mind was simply waiting for a conversation worth joining. The loudest person in the room doesn't always know the most. Sometimes the quietest person has just been waiting for the right subject. And that brings us to something most people completely misunderstand. The same person who can talk for hours about the right subject can suddenly become the quietest person in the room, especially when a conversation turns into an argument or pointless drama. They stop explaining and stop trying to prove they are right. Sometimes they even act like they don't know the answer, not because they can't defend themselves, but because they already know how the conversation will end. Some people don't want to understand. They only want to win. So instead of wasting time and energy, they simply let the other person have the last word. From the outside, it can look like they gave up, but in reality, they were protecting something far more valuable, their peace of mind. The smartest battle isn't always the one you win. Sometimes it's the one you quietly choose not to fight. Protecting their peace of mind doesn't stop with people. It also shows up in the spaces where they spend most of their time. To everyone else, their room, desk, or workspace can look completely messy. People see clutter. They see things scattered everywhere. And the first thing they want to do is clean it all up. But what looks like chaos to someone else often makes perfect sense to them. They know exactly where everything is because every object has quietly found its own place. When someone moves those things without asking, it doesn't feel helpful. It feels like someone rearranged the map inside their head. That's because their surroundings aren't just a place to work. They're part of the way they think. The mess isn't distracting them because for them, it's familiar, comfortable, and sometimes it's exactly what helps them focus. Not every organized mind lives in an organized room. Sometimes the clearest thinking grows out of what looks like complete chaos. Just as their surroundings hold a quiet kind of order, their memories do too. They might forget to buy groceries or forget where they left their keys, but somehow they can remember the exact words someone said months ago, the expression on their face, or even what they were wearing that day. To everyone else, those little details disappeared a long time ago, but their mind quietly held on to them without even trying. It's almost as if certain moments leave a picture behind instead of just a memory. When something feels important, their mind saves it with surprising clarity, even if they never meant to remember it in the first place. That's why they can sometimes bring up tiny details that everyone else has completely forgotten. People often wonder how they remembered something so small. The truth is, they weren't trying to remember it. Their mind simply noticed what others never did. Not every strong memory comes from making an effort. Sometimes it comes from quietly paying attention.
That quiet attention doesn't end with the people around them. It follows them into the digital world as well. They might have social media accounts, but if you visit their profile, you'll often find very little about them because they have no interest in an endless stream of personal photos, constant status updates, or sharing every moment of their life. Instead, they spend more time watching than posting, using the platform to read, learn, and enjoy interesting ideas, useful information, or the occasional meme that genuinely makes them laugh. But they rarely feel the need to prove themselves to strangers online or get pulled into endless arguments in the comments section. While everyone else is trying to be noticed, they're quietly paying attention. To some people, that can look like they're missing out, but they don't see it that way. They know that observing often teaches you far more than constantly trying to be seen. Sometimes, the quietest person online is the one who notices the most. That quiet way of observing the world doesn't stay online. It follows them back home. Almost every highly thoughtful person has a corner that feels completely their own, whether it's a specific chair by the window, a side of the bed, or a favorite spot where they naturally sit every day. While it might look like just another seat to everyone else, to them, it feels completely different. It's the place where their mind finally settles, their thoughts become clearer, and the noise of the day slowly fades away. That's why they quietly dislike it when someone else takes that spot or changes it without thinking. It isn't about being rude or possessive. It's because that small corner has become part of the routine that helps them think, reflect, and feel at ease. Everyone searches for peace in different ways. For some people, peace isn't a destination. It's a familiar place they've returned to 1,000 times. Once you've found a place where your mind feels completely at peace, it's only natural to enjoy spending more time there. That's why something that disappoints most people can quietly feel like a gift to them. When plans suddenly get canceled at the last minute, friends might complain that the whole day is ruined, but deep inside, they feel a quiet sense of relief. It isn't because they don't care about the people in their life, and it certainly doesn't mean they dislike spending time with others. They simply treasure the unexpected gift of having a little more time to themselves. Instead of rushing out, they can stay home, let their minds slow down, enjoy the silence, and return to the place where they feel most like themselves. While a canceled plan feels like something was taken away to everyone else, to them, it feels like something valuable was quietly given back, proving that the best moments aren't always the ones you planned, but the quiet hours you never expected to have. Those quiet hours spent alone do something else. They teach a person to become comfortable with their own thoughts instead of constantly chasing everyone else's. That's why they rarely feel the need to follow every new trend, copy what's popular, or keep up with the latest celebrity gossip and viral challenges. They don't avoid these things because they think they're better than everyone else. They simply choose to give their time and attention to ideas that genuinely interest them and make sense to them. While many people are busy following the loudest voice in the room, they're quietly deciding what is actually worth listening to. That kind of independence doesn't happen overnight, but rather grows every time a person chooses curiosity over popularity and meaning over noise. While the world will always try to tell you what you should pay attention to, the strongest minds quietly decide that for themselves, proving that in the end, intelligence isn't always about knowing more, but about knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. By now, you may have noticed that these habits were never about being quiet. They were about how your mind works and how you protect your peace. What some mistake for weakness is often a hidden strength that has been there all along. Let us know in the comments below exactly how many of these 9 habits felt natural to you, as it's always fascinating to see how many patterns people quietly recognize in themselves. But understanding your quiet mind goes deeper than daily habits. Which is why you might wonder what happens when an intelligent introvert is deeply hurt and why they suddenly choose absolute silence instead of arguing. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more psychology that helps you understand yourself a little more deeply. Until next time, keep thinking deeply.